name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing Leetcode problem 1252, cells with odd values in a matrix. Alright, so there is an m by n matrix that is initialized to all zeros. There is also a 2D array indices where each indices I equals r at I and c at I represents a zero index location to perform some increment operations on the matrix. For each location, indices at I do both of the following. Increment all the cells in row Ri, increment all the cells in column Ci. Given Mn, and indices return the number of odd valued cells in the matrix after applying the increment to all locations and indices. Alrighty, so what does this all mean? So m is the number of rows, n is the number of columns, right? So we're always going to start with an initial matrix of m being the number of rows, n being the number of columns, right? This matrix is not given to us. We need to generate this matrix. So that's the first step, is take this m and this n and create this matrix, which is this 2D array. Okay, so then we come to here, indices, right? So what this is doing is the first number is whatever that number is, that indice of rows is going to be incremented. This number, whatever that number of columns, whichever column the index of that is being incremented, right? And we need to go through each array, each inner array, right? So what's going to happen here is once we get to this, we're going to increment everything in row 0, which is this one. So this first array. So we get 1, 1, 1. And then we increment everything in column 1, right? So this is column 1. So now this 1 becomes a 2, this 0 becomes a 1. And so we have that. And then we come here and we increment the first row, right, which is this row. So 0 becomes 1, 1 becomes 2, 0 becomes 1. And then we increment the first column. So 2 becomes 3, 2 becomes 3. So that our final matrix is this, represented in this diagram, and what they're actually asking for is how many odd numbers are in here. So at the end of the day, we're going to get this in a result variable, and then we're just going to flatten it so it becomes that, and then we can just return its length, right? Oh, and we're going to filter out any even values, right? So we're going to flatten it, then we filter out, and we use a filter method to say, you know, are these numbers odd? If they are, we keep them, right? And then we just return the length. Okay. So step 1 is to create this initial matrix. That is step 1. So let's grab all this, move on over to CodePen, function. So log into the console. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a result array. And at the very end, we're going to return result. We're going to flatten it, and then we're going to filter out any even numbers. For right now, we're just going to return results so we can watch what's happening here. Okay, step one. Let's create this initial matrix. So we can use a for loop. We say for let I equals 0 if I is less than m I plus plus. So that's the rows, right? And we're going to create a temporary array called temp. Set it to an empty array. Do an inner for loop. When j equals 0, j is less than n, the columns, we increment j. So basically we're going to get 2 rows, 3 columns for this situation. And so we're going to push into temp 0. Then we push into result temp. There you go. So there's our initial array. That's the easy part. This is the tricky part. So we need a for loop looping through indices. So we're going to say if I is less than indices dot length plus plus 1, sorry. Okay, so here we can console.log indices add I. Right, so we get each of those arrays. So now we need to do is we need to do a nested for loop for the rows, for incrementing the rows, and then a nested for loop to increment the columns. I know that's a little much, but so we're going to say for let r, representing row, equals 0. R is less than result dot length r plus plus. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going, oh, well, it's hard to see because they're all zeros. It's kind of annoying. Then we'll do another inner loop when j equal 0. less than result at R dot length J plus plus. All right. So what this is going to do is R is going to start in this first array, and then J is going to go boop, boop, boop. So then what we can say is if R equals indices at I at 0, right? So this first one here, this one here, and this one here, result at R and J plus plus. Right. So because the rows of 0 and 1, the only two rows we got are all going to be incremented. We all have 1s now, incremented from 0s, right? So now we need to do a very similar thing for columns. C is less than result. We're going to kind of flip this upside down. So we're just going to take result at 0 dot length C plus plus. And then the inner loop J is less than result dot length J plus plus. Now we're going to do a similar if statement. Say if C equals indices I. Hold on. I did something wrong here. Oh boy. J plus plus. Hold on. Let's get rid of this. Oh, I see what I did. I didn't put it in the right for loop. So let's see equal 0 if C is less than result and 0 dot length C plus plus. And then here's our inner for loop. Let J equal 0. J is less than result dot length J plus plus. So now we can say if C equals indices at I1, come on, 1, result J C plus plus. There you go. And that's what we want. Bam. And then the last thing we can do is we're looking for the number of odd numbers in that array, so we can flat it. Use the flat method. And then we can filter to get rid of any even numbers. So if this is not an even, if it is, there we go. Cool, so that gets rid of all the even numbers. There's none in there, so it doesn't really matter for this example, but you need to do that for some of the test cases. Cool, and there's 6. Let's grab that. Go ahead and submit. It works great. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you. If it did, if you could please like this video, it'd help my channel. If you'd like to see more like these, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again real soon.